Hello. This is not me. This is my dog. But he's joining me today while we do our August wrap-up. And so there's Vincent, and there are the books I read in August. Kind of a sad little pile there. I read 4 books, which I suppose is maybe about average for me. I don't tend to read a ton of books during the month. Sometimes less than 4, sometimes more than that, but I guess it's about an average month. I'm just going to hop right into it. I'll give you kind of a brief little synopsis and show you what I read. So, the first book is The Girl in Hitchcock's Shower, Alfred Hitchcock's Shower. And this book, I didn't like it. It was actually a struggle for me to get through, and I was going to quit it about halfway through, and I just decided to push because I had already gotten halfway through, and I just wanted to say that I finished it for whatever reason. It's about an actress and body double who is in the movie Psycho, and she plays Janet Leigh's body double in the shower scene. And it's also about a man who ends up being a serial killer. And the whole premise of the book makes it appear as though this woman, eventually this actress, gets murdered by this man because he's obsessed with the movie Psycho. And he has mom issues and all of this stuff. So you're kind of led to believe, oh, that's kind of intriguing. I didn't know there was a real crime based on, like a Norman Bates type of character. But anyway, the two cases really don't have a whole lot to do with each other, and you will see that in the book. And it's mostly about this model and her life and how she got her start. And then it kind of trades back and forth between her and this man who has the mommy issues and ends up committing murders. So I gave it like 2 stars because really the cases do not connect with each other, if only in a cursory way, in that he was interested in the movie Psycho. And yeah, so I don't have very many good things to say about this, if anything. I had read Robert Graysmith wrote a book called The Zodiac, and he was the one who was very much on top of that case and followed it obsessively. He is played by Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie Zodiac, a movie that came out several years back. And so the writing is not bad. It's not bad, but just it's very misleading, and it leads you to think this book is about something entirely different than it really is. So I gave it about 2 stars. So enough about that. Next book I read, I loved, and that was Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. I did a review on this if you're interested in watching it. I loved this book. I loved the writing. I loved the character. I loved the pacing. I just love how everything built on just one thing after the next. How she told her story in her life, in her marriage, and the abuse that she suffered, and how she told about her relationship with the caretaker she works for. It starts off, she's being questioned for the murder of this wealthy woman that she works for, and the whole town basically suspects that she had something to do with her own husband's murder years back. So they are basically jumping to the conclusion that she had something to do with the murder of this wealthy woman. So this is Dolores being questioned and her speaking to these detectives, and that's the whole book. She's talking through the whole book, telling her story. There are no chapters, no page breaks. But it really worked for me. I didn't really need any. There are places you can just stop and pick it up. When you pick it up again, it's not really hard to, remember what you read. So I enjoyed it a lot. For Stephen King, he's kind of hit or miss for me. But this was definite hit on almost, if not superior to Misery, which is my favorite of Stephen King's books. So if you like Stephen King and if you want something that's more on the psychological side and not so much about the gory physical body horror, then you might really like this. The movie's really good too. It's just been years since I've seen it, so I'd like to check that out again. I gave this about a 5-star, which I was kind of going between a 4.5 to a 5-star, because I don't give 5 stars out very often, but this definitely comes close. If not a 5-star, would be like a 4.5. So next book I read was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. And this is kind of, I guess you would call it a post-apocalyptic story about, basically people across the globe are dying because they see something and it makes them go crazy and either kill someone, or kill themselves. And people are just, getting knocked out left and right by their own hand, or being killed by other people who go crazy all because they see something. It's not clear what that something is, and at first people are just hearing news stories about it, but gradually more and more stories come up, and the main character, who is a female, her and her sister live together, and they start believing, and her sister is actually kind of a conspiracy. Actually, no, she's the opposite. She thinks she's believing all of this stuff is happening, and the main character is a little bit more on the practical side. She's not so willing to believe it. But anyway, it turns out more and more people are getting killed, and so she eventually goes and seeks shelter with this family. Actually, it's not a family, but it's a group of people who live in a house, and they're protected in the house. They wear blindfolds. They cover up all of their windows so they can't let anything in, and they can't see outside, because apparently it's something that you see outside that triggers this horrible thing and makes you crazy and want to kill people and yourself. So it's a survival story. We're trying to figure out what this mystery is, and we're learning about these other characters and where they came from and how they got to the house, and it switches off from the beginning of the story to where the narrator, she's actually pregnant with a baby, and another girl in the house that they stay with, she's actually pregnant as well, and it cuts back and forth from their time in the house to Mallory. She decides to leave the house and takes 2 children with her who are 4 years old, so it's flashing back in time, forward and back from like 4 years in the future, and she is getting in a boat with them, and they are all blindfolded, and they're trying to make their way to safety wherever that might be. So it's an intriguing premise. There were a lot of logic issues for me with this book. I didn't understand a few things, had me scratching my head. I do have a review on this for Goodreads, and I kind of go through those questions that I have, so I guess there would be kind of spoilers on that review. But anyway, this book was enjoyable to read. I had fun with it. I gave it, I think, like a 3 to 3.5 stars. So that's Bird Box by Josh Malerman. And the last book is really just, to be honest with you, it's kind of just a filler book. I wanted to read something fast, and I had this book. I got it from a little free library down in my town, and it's not Christmas time yet, but I decided to read it anyway because I like the Madeline stories, or Madeline, and I had read like 2 or 3 other ones. This one was okay. It wasn't really anything special. It didn't really have the charm, I thought, that the previous books did, with the girl and I think she has a dog in one of them, and I don't know. I don't remember like all of the old books, but I just remember they were cuter and they had kind of just more charm to them. So, and this story just wasn't, I don't know. It just didn't really do it for me, but it's about Christmas, sort of. So if you're interested in reading a Christmassy story or anything that takes place in winter and involves Madeline, you might be interested in this. I didn't even rate this, I don't think, because I'm not sure what I would even give it. But I like the old Madeline books, and I would definitely reread those at some point if I had them. So I thought I would just give this one a try. Anyway, so that is my book haul. Those are the 4, or book wrap-up, I should say. Those are the 4 books that I read in August. September, I'm currently reading Our Souls at Night by Kent Harif, and I am enjoying that so far. And I will probably be talking about that at some point, maybe doing a review. I would like to do a September TBR and show you what I would be interested in reading for this month, now that we're well into September. But again, I don't always stick to TBRs, but I still like doing them anyway, and I like watching them. So I will do that. Hope you had a great day. If you've read any of these books or have any opinions on any of these books, feel free to comment below. And otherwise, have a great day. Bye.